Very crazy story coming out of Jordan, where two United States senators were denied the ability to fly over Gaza despite being in the country of Jordan and would have been boarded on a Jordanian plane. So here's the video that they shot. Let's take a listen.
Jeff Merkley and I are here at the King Abdullah II Air Force Base in Jordan. Jeff and I wanted to go into Gaza to see firsthand the destruction, which we've seen in photographs and by eyewitness testimony. But we were denied that opportunity to go in on the ground. We are really hoping for the opportunity to fly over Gaza, to be able to witness firsthand exactly the scale of destruction in Gaza. So far, we've not been able to go.
So far, the senators have not been able to go, denied the ability to go by the Israeli government, which is pretty shocking, again, considering the fact that the government itself has banned journalists and others from even participating in flyovers that are dropping aid. And that is one where, you just have to ask, like, well, what are you covering up exactly? And, well, we all know, don't we? Because there have been enough images of all of that have been able to come out. It's also just a serious breach on U.S. sovereignty because
it's insane.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's crazy. Like, these are United States senators in a foreign country. The Jordanian government has no problem with them going, and they're like, no, actually, because what is that? It's a tacit commission. We control the skies. It's our territory. Well, it's our country, which just gets all the questions around this of like, well, why? What exactly is going on here? We're not even allowed to fly in there. Oh, Hamas has rockets now that can shoot us. Come on. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, and we know the way they blocked journalists from going on board these, aid drop flights because they didn't want pictures coming out, and they don't want Merkley and they don't want Van Hollen to actually see that Gaza has been turned into absolute and complete rubble. They also went to the Rafah Gate on the Egypt-Gaza border, and he says in this post, he says, on the other side was Gaza's thriving city of Rafah, home to 270,000. Today we saw it reduced to rubble. The Netanyahu government has gone beyond targeting Hamas to waging a war of destruction against all Palestinians. It must end. And we all remember when everybody's posting all eyes on Rafah, right? We all remember that. We all remember the Biden administration saying going into Rafah is a red line, because remember what the Israelis did. They pushed the entire population of Gaza further and further and further south, Rafah being the southernmost city, and just obliterated in their path, squeezed everybody down into the southern part of the Gaza Strip. And then they went in and annihilated Rafah as well. And Rafah has been reduced to rubble. As we speak, we can put D3 up on the screen. There is a just absolute onslaught happening in and around Gaza City. This is from yesterday, according to Middle East Eye, and this was information from Gaza's health ministry. They said that Israel had killed at least 98 Palestinians in Gaza in the last 24 hours. During the same period, 404 others were wounded. A number of these Palestinians who were murdered by the IDF were out seeking aid. A number of other ones, I believe 8 of them, died because of starvation. So it is absolutely as brutal and as dire as it has ever been in this war. I saw numbers that even if you use, which all experts say at this point, like the official numbers are dramatic undercount. If you can consider people who are dying of malnutrition and disease and lack of sanitation and, who are buried under the rubble and unaccounted for, et cetera, it's a dramatic undercount. But even if we take that official count, that means that 10% of the population of the Gaza Strip has ever either been killed or injured. There is really no analogous situation in modern history. 10% of an entire population that has either been killed or injured. And, we're still here backing the whole thing and putting out plans for, official ethnic cleansing, which we'll get to in the next segment.
Yeah, it's really sickening. Let's go ahead and put the next part up here on the screen, please, just so we can show at least some of it. I mean, it really is sickening, actually, some of the video that has been coming out, at the very least, of like what is even available. Warning, obviously, if you're watching this, and it's some sensitive stuff, but this is the least amount from what we've been able to see that remains there. And it demonstrates why a lot of the campaign against journalists and against these senators is happening, is to basically keep it so that only the on-the-ground images are the ones that are able to be disseminated, and there's no journalists, there's nobody even really verifying verifying or plotting or telling people what exactly is going on. So yeah, I think it is actually very interesting from the point of how much longer this can continue in terms of public and U.S. support. Like, that's the big question, is at a certain point, even the pro-Israel defenders, and we'll talk about this soon, the people in Israel, the IDF, who, can we all agree, is not like some bleeding heart liberals and all them, are like, guys, this is doing nothing. Like, it is basically killing for the sake of it and expulsion in conjunction with this like crazy plan of the most far-right ministers of the Israeli government. It's a question both for them politically, at a constituent level, because it's true, basically Israel either de facto supports this or, supports this all out. But it's also a question of like America here, where even with the limited amount of images, the amount of control and the lack of support, that they're just going for it in a way that strategically doesn't make a lot of sense if you plan for a continuation. Or maybe it does because they're like, this is it. We're just going to get it done now. It's the only time that we'll ever have the opportunity. So I don't really know, how else to square it, because that seems to be what they think.
Well, we have the plan we'll talk about in the next block of what they intend to do. They're using GHF basically as shaping operations to push everybody again to the south and, be able to push people to, to self-deport, we'll say. Just brazen plans for ethnic cleansing, and then create some, development haven for Trump and his cronies to cash in on. Is utterly disgusting end stage capitalism kind of stuff. Let's put D5 up on the screen, because it's also unbelievable how rogue Israel is. They assassinated Yemen's prime minister and their entire cabinet. And this is from Code Pink. They say Western impunity means Israel can kill entire government cabinets of sovereign countries and commit genocide without the world batting an eyelid. It goes without saying. Imagine that the Houthis assassinated Netanyahu and Smotrich and ben-gvir. What do you think the reaction would be? And yet they operate in such a rogue and lawless manner with absolute impunity and zero accountability with us when they're indicted for war crimes, sanctioning the ICC for daring to sanction them indict them for war crimes. Just absolute impunity. It is insane what this country is doing. The number of countries they've bombed, the number of war crimes they've committed, obviously what's happening in Gaza, what they're doing in the West Bank, what they're announcing. And they're once again saying we're going to cut off aid to northern Gaza because we, believe anyone who's left there, we're just going to assume that they're a terrorist, so we're going to try to starve them to death. This is all announced and out in the open, and yet our country is, just going along with it. And ultimately, no other nations around the world with any power to do anything are really doing anything. Listen, the recognition of Palestine, okay, fine, but that is not going to change the situation right now, and Israel truly is going for it. In that interview that you mentioned that Trump did give to a print reporter on Friday, he was asked about Israel, and can put D4 up on the screen to show you part of his answer. So he was asked this question about like, hey, do you see that some young Republicans even now are moving away from Israel? And what do you make of that? Are you aware of it? And he says, yeah, I'm aware of it. So Israel is amazing because, I have good support from Israel. But if you go back 20 years, I will tell you, Israel had the strongest lobby in Congress of anything or body or of any company or corporation or state that I've ever seen. Israel was the strongest. Today, it doesn't have that strong a lobby. It's amazing. I think we have more from this interview we can go to. He says, there was a time where you couldn't speak bad. If you wanted to be a politician, you couldn't speak badly. But today you have, AOC +3, and you have all these lunatics, and they've really changed it. So they're going to have to get that war over with. But it is hurting Israel. There's no question about it. They may be winning the war, but they're not winning the world of public relations, and it is hurting them. So some interesting comments, similar to things that he's actually said in the past about the Israel lobby.
Yes and no. He's said that stuff before. On Israel, he just reverts to this template answer. What about October 7th?
He did,
or whatever. It's just
he said no one has done more for Israel than I have. True.
I
guess true.
Definitely true. Yeah. I don't know. There is the people around Trump, many others, even in the Republican movement, are mystified at his deference to Israel. It does not exist with any other state. Nobody really knows why. We can all speculate. We certainly have here on the show. A variety of ideology, money, who knows, what else?
Epstein.
Blackmail, some people are saying. Many people are saying that it could be. But regardless, he has an exception to them that does not exist for literally anyone else. And it is exceptional because it stands so stark to how he treats every single other country in the world. And it's what's actually remarkable is that Trump's thing about being independent was he always seemed different than other Republicans, even if he would do many of the same things. But on Israel, he seems exactly the same.
Yeah.
He's just like Mike Johnson. He's just like all the others. He's just like all the, like everyone else. And it's the one area where I think people can credibly be like, dude, you are, you're just not different in any way. If anything, you're the most, fervent backer there of the Israel lobby. So I think that is probably the area which has been most disillusioning, for a lot of the so-called podcast young right and all these other people, because they don't like Israel, and they're not subjected to the same level of propaganda that a lot of these other people are.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll never understand it. I truly won't.
I think part of what he gives up there, first of all, I think the blackmail thing is a real life possibility. And even if he doesn't know specifically, he is probably somewhat afraid of them and what they might have on him. And we know that they've threatened, Ryan's
Bill
reporting
Clinton.
about how they threatened Bill Clinton. So we can't put that past them at all. But he also says something there that he's like, I have a lot of support there. And that's part of how he thinks too. He's like, Mary Mendelson gave me $100 million and I'm going to do what she wants me to do. I'm going to do what they want me to do because they really support me. And, there is a large constituency in the Republican Party that is they're still majority overwhelmingly pro-Israel. So he's looking at where his bread is buttered, and it doesn't, that's certainly a part of the calculation of the way that he views the world.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.